How are you doing, gardeners? Ed Schneider with Fresh Picked Acres. Happy to bring you this new YouTube video. We're still in January, and I know for many gardeners you haven't even, you're probably wanting to get in the garden again, but we still got a couple of months out and things like that. But we're actually planting our tomato seeds now for our, we're the last week of January, and we do have a high tunnel, as in the picture behind me on the computer screen, and so that'll give us some frost protection, and that's how we're able to, we're going to plant them in the soil. They're not hydroponic, but I thought I would take a second and talk about number one, good varieties that produce some really big fruit, consistent fruit, and things like that. And, I got kind of a little bit of a pet peeve with the, with all of the home supply stores and the types of varieties that they offer the consumer for tomato production. And for the 99% of us out there, and I think they're the wrong darn varieties for me. They're not that they're not beautiful tomatoes, but they're harder to manage of it. And what most of those varieties are, they're your beefsteaks, Jetstar. They got multiple, but they're indeterminates, which means they just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a little bit, they become unwieldy. I don't know, like I said, when we grow indeterminates, such as big beef or beefsteak, I will say that we'll have a vine, 20 foot long, by the end of the growing season. You have to, to get a big fruit, you need to go ahead and keep pinching the suckers and things like that. They take a lot of maintenance on that level. So looking at the tomato as a whole, there are other choices, and if you're a homeowner, I think you ought to consider looking for a determinant variety, like the varieties I have behind me. They're very good tasting. And I think you can order on Amazon or Johnny's Seed or a lot of different companies. But one of them is called Red Deuce. Another variety is called BHN 589. It's kind of sounds like a corn hybrid for field corn. And the last one that we do very well with is called a variety called Florida 91. There's a couple others that you can get into, but they produce a nice big fruit on them. And, the thing about a determinant variety is, like the name says, it kind of it's predetermined how many tomatoes you're going to get off of that one plant, but when it yields, it's going to yield a large amount. But what I have found is, even with the determinant varieties, I'm going to get a second batch. So the earlier I can get these guys in the ground, the more likely I'm going to get a second growth and they'll be as tall as I am, but that's about it. They're going to be about as tall as I am. They're going to get to about 6 foot in height. You can get more height in them if you push the nitrogen and stuff, but with tomatoes you don't want to do that. Give them a little bit, but not a lot. And but we're more interested in the calcium and the getting calcium, prevent that blossom end rot. We're interested in your phosphorus and potassium, encouraging the plant to bloom. Things like that. So those are what we're after when we're wanting to grow tomatoes. And I'm going to tell you, these are very good, high quality tasting tomatoes. They're easier to manage. I don't have to go after any suckers or anything like that. Basically, I set a post and another post with 4 plants in the middle. So all I do is take tomato twine, and I start out on one post. I go down to one side of the plants. I go around the steel post, and I can come back. And that makes an enclosure for the tomatoes to sit in. And then each week you need to add, maybe go up 4 to 6 inches and add another string. In the early days, I was too aggressive with it, and I had strings about every 2 inches apart. And the problem is then it gets hard to get a tomato out of the strings, and it gets binding the plant. Although, you know, it held them up well. But I think if you got 2 steel posts, roughly that are 6 feet in height, and tomato twine, and once a week we put that tomato twine around our plants, I think they're easier for you to manage. And let me go to the next thing about tomatoes that I think will help the homeowner, and that is coming up with some form of shade cloth. You could do perhaps if you're outside and you don't want to put a structure over the top of your tomatoes, but you might position where the plants have full sun until say 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then shade hits them during the heat of the day. I think that'll help your plants out. I think that would also apply with your bell peppers and things like that, but I can't emphasize the importance of having a shade over the plants. And certainly for me, we run a 50% shade cloth in the summertime, and of course we're under plastic, so that house can get very hot. It's like locking yourself in your car in the summertime. You're going to get hot on a 60-degree day. You're going to get very hot on a 60-degree day. Well, that's what it's like being in the high tunnel. So by putting a shade cloth over the top, it will cool everything off very well. So I think if you really want to take your gardening serious, think about how can I get some form of shade cloth over my plants. Even if you do post outside over the top of it, say you put 8-foot posts that can support a shade cloth or something like that. I think that'd be a worthy investment for you. Your lettuces enjoy shade. Your bell peppers will enjoy they'll enjoy a 50% shade. So will tomatoes. They'll enjoy that 50% shade. They'll get plenty of shade or plenty of sunshine through that, and it'll keep the plants cooler. You'll get less sun scald on your plants, but to help you have a greener thumb, it's less about a green thumb, but just knowing what to do is the big secret behind growing good tomatoes, good bell peppers, and things like that. The tomatoes in this high tunnel are protected somewhat from the winds of Kansas, so that's a good thing. I mean, that's the advantage of having them inside. The other advantage is we get to plant them earlier on in the year, so that's an advantage. We use a drip line watering the tomato from below, which is very good. They don't have the rain. What you do got to worry about with tomatoes outside is you want to probably consider getting some form of straw mulch or plastic mulch or something, because what you don't want is the rain to hit the dirt, splash the dirt up on the soil, add onto the leaves, giving you a soil-borne disease onto your tomato plants. And so, I mean, it's funny about that. They do need water, but they don't like that soil-borne disease on the plant, on the leaves. So to grow successful tomatoes, again, we want to keep that, maybe put some straw down or plastic mulch to prevent that from happening. So to keep this video somewhat short, I really do enjoy bone meal very much with tomatoes, and I put that under the soil when I first plant them. Bone meal, man, it's hard. We just don't really see much blossom end rot using bone meal. And we also go ahead and I put down some 10-10-10 at the beginning of the season in a granular form, and I till that in. But at planting time, we put some, we do put a little bit of blood meal and put a little bone meal down, and we have our acidity correct with our, you know, we don't need, whether we need to add lime or not, but our pH is right on 6.2. pH, so it's a good spot for a tomato or most vegetables. So you want to make sure you have that. But for blossom end rot, I encourage you to go ahead and consider, you want to get some form of calcium. If you get blossom end rot during the growing year, you can add a water supplement, like, you know, liquid fertilizer, liquid calcium, and that'll help these plants. If they haven't got the, if the fruit hasn't had any problems with the rot yet, then you can kind of pull them through and keep the plant going. But as the plant gets bigger, blossom end rot becomes more prevalent. So, and, you know, and that type of thing. So, but, you know, to keep it simple, let me just say that I really enjoy my Red Deuce tomato seed, and it's very easy to start these. And I'll go so far as to say for Dilly and I that the grow lights, there's something that we obviously don't know, but I will say that the tomatoes and the vegetables that we grow under grow lights, you can get by with it for a couple of days, but I really think they still would do best if you can get them in the sun. I think they do better. They will not be as leggy, because that's what we see. Even though we put the sun lamps or the sun lamps on right on top of the plants, that they still don't look right. They get a little spindly, or they're just weaker and things like that. But the quicker we can set that plant in the high tunnel, in the plastic under natural sun, the plants are more interested in, they'll grow thicker and stronger and that type of a thing. So that's something there for you to want to consider when you start your young seedlings. And that, now, if you are a person who is going to be able to plant the 1st of May, then you probably, because for us, our frost is pretty safe. We're not going to have any frost in May. We're going to have some cool nights, but we don't necessarily have frost. I think you could probably begin your tomatoes instead of like we're beginning now. But you could probably go ahead and plant your tomatoes the 1st of March, and that'll give you March and April to give you 8 weeks, and then you can get them outside, or you could actually plant them outside at that time. But yes, consider, I'm going to show you my tomato videos here today, but these are determinant varieties. You will think it's going to take forever before you get a fruit, but once you start harvesting, you're going to have some wonderful, wonderful tomatoes, and they're heavy yielders. That's something else about them. They're very heavy yielders. No pruning. No going after suckers on these determinant varieties. They're good to go right away. But I'm going to put this out real quick. I'm excited about spring, and like I said, we're getting ready to seed our first tomatoes for 2025. But I'm going to show you guys again how we do this, and I hope it's of a benefit to you. I apologize for the shakiness. I was wearing the GoPro on my head, and I'm going like this, and I'll try to cut out as much of that as I can. But anyway, We've gotten a lot of nice, we've grown 10 new subscribers, 12 new subscribers. Thank you all very much. And to the 719 ahead of you, we really appreciate having you guys on our YouTube channel. And we want to continue giving you good content. And if you please consider subscribing. Help us get to our 1,000 subscriber goals so we can start to monetize, so we can start making a little bit of money. I promise you that we're going to give you some good information we do conventional farming, but I think we're pretty good. I'm going to say I'm right in the middle of the pack as far as a farmer. I think I can give you good information so you can grow a very good garden for yourself or help out, improve your own stuff. I think that that this is a good start for all of us. So thanks a lot, and like always, hit that like and subscribe and come grow with us. Let's go ahead and go on in. So here is the tomatoes now. And I mean, they look good. Delia's over there lowering that one right now. So there's Maddie. And but I just need to come in here and pop my tomatoes. I did it once earlier today when it had a lot of moisture in it, and I'm just going to go ahead and pop them one more time. And they are getting loaded. I mean, we have blooms everywhere. Temperatures right now are actually pretty ideal. There's old Josie dog. Make sure these, when you see them, you pop. Make sure you want to go ahead and pop them back into place. If your tomato limbs are sticking out into the aisleway, go ahead and just like this one right here. It was actually probably too small at the time, which they grow fast, and while they're still young, try to catch them and get them back into your string. And we'll pop these. We'll make sure. Look how when you pop, how I pop them, how they shake, and that's helping with the pollination of our tomatoes. And these look like they're going to need. They're sticking out quite a bit above, so it's probably about time to go and get some string, some more string added on these two aisles. I did those two yesterday, and I don't do it all at one day. We're here every day, so I just kind of monitor it. I want to make sure that my tomatoes, here's some that are poking out. Let me go ahead and get you behind the string, the tomato string, and let's get this guy behind the tomato string. You got to be careful you don't break them. I mean, that's a real thing here. They can break. And I've done it. There we go. Got that guy locked in. We'll get this guy locked in. There we go. So now we're back behind the string on that particular bunch. They're constantly. That's why it's good to go ahead and walk the tomatoes. I'm going to cheat there. Just stick part of him through it. But that, there's when you do run your strings through here, there's some of them at different growth stages that are just not, they're just not high enough for your string to capture them. So I just keep my eyes on it, and yeah, these guys are, look how the aisle here, it's I mean, I love it. That's wonderful, but it's time to put some more string on, tighten them up. Let's get our aisle way back, because we're going to have a lot of picking in here. Let's go to the next two rows. And the same thing. You look at the aisleway and you see where they're starting to cascade into the aisleway. It's probably time to go ahead and start thinking about putting some more string. I don't think the ones on the left are nearly as bad as the ones here on the right. So I don't think, and like if you look at this row here beside us, where I got the string, we have there's a good example where we stand. Those are red deuce right there, but it's a good example of where we stand on our fruit, where as far as where the growth is on them. So it's kind of hard to see in all the foliage, and we're going to have to start going through that here. As far, you know, once we start seeing the obvious ones starting to turn, well, we know we'll need to start looking all the way down through here, checking for tomatoes. I mean, we have a lot of fruit. You can look in here. Let me just take this off and show you. We have a lot of fruit in here, and it's growing nice. Some fruit all in there. A lot of young ones too. So I think with these determinant tomatoes, I think we can pretty much harvest it takes about a month to really go through all the tomatoes that are grown.